planning board meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is the minutes from September 27th.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval of the minutes of September 27th, 2016, with the corrections suggested by Mr. Cool.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All set. The next item on the agenda is approval not required. Do we have any A&Rs?
There are none.
There are none. That's moving right along. Public hearing, zoning article for November 2016 town meeting. Article to see if the town will vote to amend 240-185, the Code of Falmouth Design Review Committee by deleting this section in its entirety, or to take any other action on the matter on request of the Design Review Committee and the Board of Selectmen. It's a public hearing. Looking down, board members first. Anyone have any comment on this?
I've just got questions.
They're as good as
Just
comments.
Just for my own clarification, it's been recommended by both the current existing design review committee and the selectmen to delete this section.
That's what it says. That's what I just read.
Okay?
Yes, Paul?
Notice that the public hearing was published on September
Excuse me.
16th, 23rd and 30th, 2016.
Sorry about that, I missed that. John, do you have anything on
No.
this? Anybody else?
Do you want to go any further for his question of what it is?
It's pretty clear.
Okay.
That they just want to extinguish that section.
And now the planning board does design
That's
review.
correct.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, just
For
want to share.
background that I'll explain to the two newer members of our board, a couple years ago, we found that it was really important for the planning board to be involved in these things because of our publishing of notice, minutes, all the right things you're supposed to do, and we're the right place for it to be, and that's why this is here. Simply put, don't need to go further than that.
Well, I see the advantage being the parity that the leadership of the planning board with regard to review of, site or design, being what the planning board does. And so to have a duplication of two committees doing the same thing, why not just make it into one and let it fall under the planning board? I see the the advantage of that.
The real advantage came is because we have staff available to do it in the proper way. That's why it's happening. So, anybody else?
Public comment?
Public comment? Thank you.
Okay.
It's a public.
We're here. We all set?
Okay.
So do we move?
Yeah.
So you
We should move tonight to recommend it to the warrant.
Right, so your motion would be to recommend to the town meeting that article, whatever that is as printed in the warrant. With the explanation that, planning board now does design review and it's no longer necessary.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Thank you very much. The next thing is public discussion. Applicant Nickerson Street LLC, site plan review for construction of 2 duplex residential condominium dwellings located on East Falmouth Highway. John Doyle's the engineer. For the applicant, what do we have to show? Now, I got to stop this right, can you first do the lights first, John? And now, for the applicant, I have to tell you that we're not going to move forward on this. This is not a legible plan. This is not up to our standards. We have people at home that are looking at this. We have, for a long time, many months, been requesting, and for many weeks, been requiring things that can be shown at home, so people at home can see this, and I can't see it from here, so I don't know how people at home can see it. I'd like you to come back with a clearer plan so people can show it at home.
We can do that, Mr. Chairman, if that's the board's determination.
It's been that way for a while now. I mean, we've already been beyond the forgiveness point, and now this is now a requirement. I mean, if the TV people, if people at home could see here, but they can't, and that's what we do. A lot of people watch it, so I hope you...
The board members who make the decision have other copies legible, more legible copies than that came across light.
But we like to represent the town and have them see what we're doing, and this makes it seem like they don't know what's going on. So we'd like to have this come back again with a clearer thing, if you could do that for us.
We could do that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. See you again soon. Is that okay?
Yeah. No, I agree.
I would also like to see North Arrow on the map.
Say that, Paul? We'd also like to see a north arrow. Any other things we'd like to see for requirements on it?
North Arrow.
Okay. Planning board discussion. The applicant, Sheila Duarte Andrade Realty Trust, definitive plan to divide the existing single lot into 2 lots with associated roadway located at 0 East Falmouth Highway, map number 321115A, Falmouth Engineering, filed August 9th. We don't go to the meeting dates.
Just for the record, Mr. Truly, please.
We have a draft, a decision.
Let me read.
Pat, are you ready to take
Okay,
the decision?
sure.
Yes, please.
I move that the planning board vote to approve the application of Sheila Duarte Andrade Realty Trust under Article 4, Definitive Plans, Chapter 305, Subdivision Regulations of the Town of Falmouth for a plan entitled Definitive Plan of Land for 0 East Falmouth Highway prepared for Andrade Realty Trust in Falmouth, 2 sheets, and Plan and Profile for 0 East Falmouth Highway prepared for Andrade Realty Trust in Falmouth, 1 sheet, prepared by Falmouth Engineering dated July 28, 2016, and revised September 7, 2016, scale 1 inch equals 40 feet, with the following findings, waivers, and conditions. Findings. This application seeks to subdivide an existing 15.5 acre parcel into 2 lots, Lot 15A at 7.8 acres and Lot 15B at 7.2 acres, with an existing section of Timothy Bourne Cartway to be improved to town subdivision road standards. A list of waivers from the Planning Board's rules and regulations in the form of a letter dated August 9, 2016, from Falmouth Engineering has been submitted and is incorporated by reference and attached hereto. Except as modified by this decision, the Board finds these waivers acceptable, consistent with the typical roadway designs found in the neighborhood while still providing suitable access to the lots in the subdivision. The applicant has addressed issues raised in the referrals from the Falmouth Engineering Division dated 9/12/2016, respectively, in the form of revised plans approved here. These issues include new roadway geometry with T-turnaround 100 feet in length and 22 feet in width, which meet town regulation, the installation of a sidewalk, and revised, in quotes, typical cross-section detail, and in quotes, typical paved surface detail match accordingly for the subdivision's minor street requirement. The Board acknowledges and appreciates the efforts by the applicant and the development team. Approximately 1/2 of the subdivision is located in the Bourne's Coastal Ponds Overlay District. The other half is in Eel Pond. Because the subdivision consists of 2 lots of substantial size, 7.8 and 7.2 acres respectively, and the town is working on a comprehensive plan of widening the Bourne Pond channel opening and only the east branch of Eel Pond is listed as a stabilization area, not the west branch. The board at this time will not require an analysis of development, EIS, or denitrification systems for the lots. Should there be future division of lots, 1 or 2, into additional buildable lots, the board will revisit this issue. Waivers. In a letter dated August 9, 2016 from Falmouth Engineering, waivers for Section 305 sidewalks, street lighting, and street trees were requested. The planning board grants those waivers of Section 305, street lighting, and street trees, but does not grant a waiver of Section 305 sidewalks. Conditions. Prior to definitive plan endorsement, a suitable bond or covenant shall be submitted ensuring completion of Timothy Bourne Cartway upgrade to town standards and utilities. The water mains shall be installed under the direction of the Utilities Division, and the fire hydrant shall be installed under the direction of the Falmouth Fire and Rescue Department. 3, because the lots are in a coastal pond overlay district, no further division of lots 1 or 2 into additional buildable lots shall occur without a modification of this decision pursuant to Section 81W, C41 GL by the Falmouth Planning Board. 4, prior to the final release of covenant or bond, the applicant shall provide an electronic version of the subdivision plan in a portable document file, PDF format.
Mr. Chairman?
Wait, that's the
Have to have a
motion.
second.
We need a second before any discussion.
Go ahead.
I need
I'll
a-
second.
Okay, for discussion purposes, you have a second?
Discussion,
Now we open to discussion, starting with you, Mark.
According to my,
Can I interrupt for a second?
Wait, yeah.
For the record, 9 abutters were notified by regular mail, and
No,
this
it's done.
notification.
No, we don't need it.
Notice
No,
was
it's-
published.
We've already done this
23rd.
before. We've had this hearing before, but go ahead.
Yeah, earn your pay, Paul.
I'm sorry, I should have always asked the secretary if we had any notices. I'll do it, make sure I try to do it next time. Thank you, Paul.
I suggest the agenda say notice.
I asked that a few times too, so I give little trigger.
This is a decision.
I know,
No
for
notice
us that,
of the decision is required.
we're going to get used to this, sorry.
Just takes time.
so my.
From
my
left to right,
comment
Mark, you're first.
For discussion. The notes that I wrote down last time, Mr. Briselli said he was acceptant of all the conditions. And at that time, the discussion revolved around not waiving sidewalks, street trees, or street lighting. And so I'm not reading that in here.
Yeah, why is that? Thank you, Mark.
Because I think the agreement of the board, if I recall, we're trying to maintain a uniformity of what the streetscape looks like in Falmouth. And that was kind of the opinion of, that's what I felt from what I
Correct.
gathered from the
I
board.
thought that was the case, too.
That's correct.
Anybody else on that same issue?
Yeah, I thought he just agreed to, because when I read the minutes, he said he agreed to all the, it kind of ended the discussion.
Paul?
Well, it says it does not grant a waiver for sidewalks.
No, we're not, the sidewalks is clear.
Yeah.
But there was 3 waivers.
Three waivers, and
Requested, sidewalks, street trees, and street lighting.
I'm not opposed to street trees. I really want to consider lighting. I thought I
I do
heard
too.
neighborhoods
Public.
say that they didn't want it, and I personally think we can overlight.
Oh, no, my
Places.
recollection is a public comment from a member was that she wanted it.
Want it?
She wanted it. At least one, she said.
Well,
And these-
we better take a quick look at that. How can we,
Look at the engineering requirements, 'cause he did agree to go with whatever the engineering request was.
So we're just going on our notes.
Yeah.
The board is completely free to simply amend the motion by deleting, the planning board does not grant those waivers. Period. Keep the first sentence. The planning board does not waive its regulations and does not grant those waivers.
can we have a review of the regulations where the lighting would be required?
I don't have them in front of me. But, you know, you have a requirement for lighting, usually, you know, the overhead, cobra heads, usually, and that's up to the electric company usually to put them in where they think they belong. Usually it's at the beginning of the road and the end of the road. But we don't design street lighting system, just like we don't design the water system. We just require it.
In addition to the waivers revision, it will also have to be revised in the findings in paragraph 2, third measure down where it starts, except as modified by this decision, the board finds these waivers acceptable, will have to be replaced by, I would assume, unacceptable.
Not all of them, right?
They only requested 3. As I recall, all 3 were agreed to be met by Mr. Berselli.
Okay, so it is all 3.
Yes.
The engineering request said we do not recommend waivering any of the 3, and Mr. Borselli agreed to whatever, he agreed to disagree, but he said he would follow the board's findings, and I believe we all said, we could have to review the minutes, but I think we all said that we'd like to have all 3 in.
We did.
I'm okay, I just want to be careful not to overlight. I don't have a, I'll go with, I like to be careful with how
I
we
would
do that.
defer to what
So would I.
the town planner said with the recommendation of engineering as to what's
I'm fine.
adequate.
I don't think we should do anything more than that.
The point for the street trees and the lighting was that we don't get a second bite at this cookie.
Right.
And we all believe, even though we have no proof, that these lots will be further subdivided. And then we couldn't come back and say, okay, now you got to put street trees in and lights in.
And
So that was
also-
the trigger.
And also that this may lead to another further extension down that road. We
Correct.
didn't want to
Right.
partially develop a road
That's what,
that had potential for further
For a
development.
long ways down to another street someday, and that's really where the
That was
concern
your
is.
question.
Yes. So, thank you, Mark.
Good catch, I wasn't.
Good
half
job.
asleep.
So you're right, Mark, there are 2 places that this has to be modified.
So in your findings, second paragraph, second sentence, you would delete the words "except as modified by this decision." Delete. And then the board finds these waivers unacceptable, period.
Pretty
And
straightforward.
then delete the remainder of the sentence.
Yep.
And then under waivers, and a letter dated, that's fine. The planning board does not grant those waivers.
Everybody
Street
good with
lighting,
that?
street trees, and sidewalks. Delete the word, but, so it would read, the planning board does not grant those waivers of 305 street lighting, street trees, and sidewalks.
So then I move that we amend my motion to reflect the changes that have just been put in place here. You want me to read them again?
No,
think Brian just
or
did.
the motion makers can simply accept those changes.
Okay.
And the seconder can accept the changes.
So,
because we're still approving the.
do you accept
Of course,
the
yes.
second? Who seconded?
I did, okay.
Okay, so
And I
we
accept-
have an acceptance
I
in both
accept
the
those changes.
motion and the second.
Okay.
Any further discussion amongst the board members?
No.
Anyone from the public?
You don't.
I know, I was joking, no one's here, sorry. Unless, I had to say,
You guys are on a roll tonight.
excuse me.
Your cell phone will start ringing now.
It seems like such a small
Look, I'm pouring in.
agenda, we're not doing very well.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? None? Thank you, we're moving on.
Okay.
Did you grab my agenda?
I don't know.
You're getting raised.
Okay, next applicant, Tapley Carlson Realty Trust, Tapley Carlson Trust, Christopher Carlson, trustee, preliminary plan for 5 lots residential subdivision off West Falmouth Highway and Virtue Circle, Beals and Thomas Engineering. This was a preliminary plan, right? Brian, you had a comment on this?
No, I don't, Mr. Chair. At this point, you have a draft motion in your package, so if someone wants to make
Ready?
a motion and someone wants to second it, you can discuss it.
Okay, so then we can discuss it. Okay. September 29th, 2016, draft motion regarding Tapley Carlson preliminary plan, map 2501-003A, 000, and 2604-050-005. At its meeting of October 4th, 2016, the Planning Board voted the following findings and recommendations to address the issues raised under the subdivision regulations of the Town of Falmouth. Article 3, preliminary plans for a plan entitled Tapley Carlson Property, West Falmouth Highway, Falmouth, Mass., prepared by Beals and Thomas, Inc., dated August 31st, 2016, scale 1 inch equals 50 feet. Findings. The application for a preliminary subdivision plan consists of 2 lots comprised of 8.1 acres of land, zone residential B and located in the West Falmouth Historic District, to be subdivided into 5 lots with 1 approval not required A&R lot. Currently, there is 1 existing single-family residence on the land. The site is located at 275 West Falmouth Highway in 0 Virtual Circle, map numbers 2501-003A, 000, and 2604-050-005 respectively. The Planning Board held a public meeting on this application on September 27, 2016, where the applicant and members of the public were allowed to address the board and offer their comments, concerns, and ideas. The board thanks everyone for their participation. Of the 2 waivers requested for the proposed preliminary subdivision plan, the board is inclined to not grant the waiver to reduce the 300-foot centerline offset from the proposed subdivision road between Garrison Road to 180 feet and Charles Lane to 133 feet. West Falmouth Highway is a state road and is not considered a minor street. The majority of recent planning board decisions on planned residential development clustered lots will allow for more open space, eliminate a new curb cut opening onto the state highway if access is provided through Virtue Circle, and shorten the newly created subdivision road. The board would be inclined to waive the length of dead-end road if emergency access is provided. The planning board would have purview over the current state of construction for Virtue Circle as this design is considered. Please be prepared to explain this to the board and make current improvements if necessary. Please consider this design concept as you move forward to the definitive plan stages. Recommendations. A list of waivers from the Planning Board's rules and regulations governing the subdivision of land must be included as part of the definitive plan application. 2, the applicant should expect the Planning Board to require the installation of septic systems with enhanced nitrogen removal unless the applicant demonstrates the associated recharge did not reach the Great Sippawisset Marsh high-quality area. Approval of subsurface sewage disposal systems will be subject to Board of Health approval and permitting. 3, town water is available in West Falmouth Highway. Design and approval of the proposed water main and services will be subject to the Water Department. Hydrant location subject to approval by Falmouth Fire Rescue Department. 4, the Planning Board recommends the applicant and design team work with neighbors to address concerns while finalizing the paving details and improving site distance for Virtue Circle. 5, the applicant shall limit the disturbance to any stone walls to accommodate driveways. The applicant should obtain a certificate of appropriateness from the Historical Commission prior to opening any stone walls, if any. 6, the applicant is strongly encouraged to proceed with the no road cluster definitive plan special permit option similar to other no road approvals the board has issued on West Falmouth Highway, such as the Lewis Larry definitive plan decision dated January 19, 2016. The Planning Board does not encourage the applicant to further develop the traditional grid plan laying out the proposed way from West Falmouth Highway. The definitive plan application must include the required drainage calculations for the roadway and potential upgrades to Virtual Circle.
Second.
So just for the record, this is a preliminary recommendation, so everyone knows.
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
About the 3rd paragraph. It starts off, of the 2 waivers, only one is being addressed there with regard to the 300-foot centerline offset, which is 305-24A6. The other one dealt with the reverse tangential, what the hell was it? I'm sorry.
Double curve.
Right, the double curve. And so is that going to be
If that-
discussed at all?
If they are accepting this proposal, that kind of eliminates that because the roadway is going to.
The roadway's going to change.
Okay.
They're going to put in an emergency access road,
Okay.
and they come back with a whole new design. So we'll see it again.
New design, okay. All right.
Right, and the board, my recollection was somewhat accepting of the curvilinear shape of the road because
Yes.
of the number of lots and whatnot.
Right. That's,
Preliminarily, we were.
right,
But,
that was my only comment. I mean,
well, the main thing is, this street coming down with two waivers from two different streets was not going to work.
the only reason I bring it up is the applicant brought two waivers to bear for our purview. And so even though it says of the two waivers, it only addresses one.
They actually did three, waiver 1, waiver 2, and 3. So, we'll see what the road looks like when they come back the next time with a new
plan.
set of waivers.
New plan.
So we'll wait and see how they do
All right,
that.
very good.
Hopefully they can avoid it. We'll see what happens.
The Upstart, I remember I made a comment about how much I dislike cul-de-sacs, but I did drive out there, and I went up and down both streets and checked for line of sight. And in this case, I would be in favor of a dead-end road in this development, because that sight line there really is not very good. The one coming out of Virtue is better with the acceptance of the brush that's on the side of the road, on the left-hand side. But I find that when you have two that are close together like that, you have, it's the same situation. When I come out of my neighborhood in Hatchville onto 151, out of Boxbury Hill, Sam Turner and Boxbury Hill meet in that one spot. And I tell people never to use their turn signal if they're heading east to turn onto Boxbury Hill Road, because someone sitting on Sam Turner might pull out in front of you. And I see that same situation here, where they're so close together that someone could mistake the fact that someone is turning in. They might be turning, they think they're turning on Garrison, but they're
That's
actually
true.
turning on the
That
other
is
road.
true. I see that.
They're just too close together, and I see that as a potential hazard, because it certainly is on
Great, I've been at
on
that spot, I
151.
know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there was an accident there this week, right at the intersection of Sam Turner and Boxbury Hill and 151. And I'd be willing to bet that was the reason somebody was,
And we don't really think West Falmouth Highway is a minor road either.
no. And people do book along there. And I just found the line of sight coming out of Virtue Circle is much better than Garrison or one next to Garrison.
And just for backup, I asked some questions about the 500-foot circle and why do we have the dead-end streets? And it really comes down to a fire department safety issue of
Right.
how they can get in, get out with
Yeah.
fire hoses and everything in protection, and whether it becomes blocked off and they can't get there.
Yeah,
So that is somebody else's call. They got to look at whether it's a safe street or not, the length.
Right.
Ours is the setbacks.
Yeah.
The
Offset.
offsets,
Offsets.
that this is what we're looking at, whether or not it's a safe street, we are going to ask the fire department to weigh in and how they would handle it.
right.
And it has been handled in other areas where a gravel road with a gate, they just blast right through when they get in, so if some hurricane happens, the street gets blocked, they can still rescue people.
Yeah.
And we've done that on other plans
Oh, yeah.
already, so
Yeah.
it's a safety issue it's a fire department call,
Yeah.
mainly, which we listen to intensely.
Mhm.
Yes?
Just for clarity's sake, I think the applicant is meaning that the new road to be developed is going to be categorized as a minor street versus a known non-minor street, which is West Falmouth.
As I remember, the applicants testified about this intersection as being a minor road. And that's where I was commenting on.
Well, it doesn't qualify, I mean, West Falmouth Highway.
That was my
just by
point.
virtue of traffic jam.
That was my
doesn't
point.
qualify as a
That's my
minor
point. I
street.
didn't buy that testimony.
Right.
That was, their applicant testified that this is a minor road, but it's an intersection of major road, which
Right.
changes.
I took it, I took it being the developed road, the the road being developed is going to be minor.
And I took it the intersection is on a major road, so it's different. That was the difference. Yes, Paul?
I also drove up there and went into several areas, Virtue Circle and Garrison Road, and I too are concerned about the proposed road coming between Garrison and Charles Lane. It's a very close intersection. I think that's a real issue. The other issue I met last time is the applicant said that there was no road above 10%. I look again at those stationing along the road that's proposed, and between Station 4 and 5, it's about 16%, and between 6 and 7, it's 13%. So I think there's an issue with the slope there. I agree with Bob initially. I don't particularly like cul-de-sacs, but this might lend itself to a cul-de-sac to eliminate both those issues.
John?
Procedurally, if the applicant takes this to heart and comes back with a planned residential development, will they have to come in with a preliminary plan first, or just come in with a definitive plan?
I believe that's their choice, that they can go right to definitive if they want to, but it is always wise to go preliminary. Is that correct, Brian?
That's the advice we always give, is if you want to modify your design consistent with the board's recommendations here, you're best to give them a little preliminary. And the definitive always goes smoothly.
But if
That's
they
their
want to come
option.
in and go definitive right away, that's their right.
Their option.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
So, just to piggyback on that then, I would assume there's a fee involved with submitting a preliminary plan application? And if there is, will it be imposed again for?
Yes,
And so.
unless the board chooses to waive.
Unless the board chooses not to impose that.
How much is that?
I've learned my lesson not to get involved in those matters.
I would like
I
to
forget exactly what it is. I think it's
Developable-
$100.
Developable land, I think. It's just a matter of the right plan.
Oh.
So I would urge the board to consider a waiver of that second preliminary plan fee. So,
Was
that's
it,
for further discussion?
was it this project that we had a question about the wildlife corridor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we should make a note on that. The board is curious about the status of the wildlife corridor.
There was a statement about a wildlife corridor, some sort of agreement or whatever, but it's
From the
not in-
public,
it's-
somebody said it was there.
Public, but it's not in the district.
No, but if we called it up, we could see whether it's here or not. The GIS would show it,
Right, and we looked, it's not.
and so it's not shown.
Okay, thank
We
you.
didn't offer it in your motion.
Pat?
Mark, I agree with you too on suggesting, and I don't know whether we should move it, that the board waive a fee, a second preliminary fee.
I would wait.
Wait on it, okay.
It's really not in front of you tonight.
Well, I know it's not, but I didn't know what appropriate was.
Let them request.
Yeah, let them wait, let them make a request.
Let them make,
Okay,
yeah.
that's fine. But it's because of our discussion that we suggest they come in with a different,
Others have come in, paid the fee.
they have, okay.
Oh, yes. I don't think it's exorbitant,
Yeah,
I mean,
'cause
relatively speaking. It
if we
saves
make-
them a lot of money on engineered designs.
Well, that's
Changing,
true.
it's a lot more expensive to change your definitive plan design than it is to come in with a modest preliminary plan.
Okay.
fee.
So where do we go from here?
You have
Well,
a motion and a second?
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're all set. Next on the agenda, I keep losing my agenda when I throw the other plans away. We're into general correspondence. Moving right along. So we have two things in the file. Brian, this email to you, it's not totally clear. Submit explanations of Articles 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10, attached warrant as soon as possible. Thank you.
Yeah, it was, to me, but it was really for the planning board, because you make these recommendations, so I consider it I think it came to planning. So that comes from the finance department. They put the warrant together. The planning board has 2 articles for local comprehensive plan, and so you would be making the motion and the recommendation. My sense is the motion is as printed, and the explanation, we could maybe allow Pat to craft.
Are those 4 and 5?
No, 4 is actually not your purview. That's the sign bylaw. That's where they're going to put the sign committee in. You don't have to worry about Article 4.
Okay.
You made your recommendation for
We did
Article
it,
5
okay.
tonight as printed. And so you have the other article, Articles 9 and 10 are yours.
9
The
and
other
10
one
are
is-
ours, okay.
The other one is the Historic Commission that Corey is working on, Historic Commission tonight, with them tonight.
So Articles 9 and 10 are,
Articles 9 and 10 are the transportation element and the historic element. So my sense is, I didn't want to send down an as-printed motion, an as-printed recommendation. I know the board voted to send it to the warrant, so I just want to get a motion of the board tonight that those 2 articles, your recommendation is as printed, and maybe allow Pat and I to work on an explanation for the warrant.
Maybe a quick note about what a heritage landscape approach in planning would refer to, so people can understand concept with the historic district.
So I was uncomfortable sending it down, because I think the motion of the board was to send them to the warrant.
do we have time to have it again before town meeting?
You don't hold a hearing.
So, no, okay, so it's just whatever.
If you want to get your recommendations into the printed warrant, the warrant goes to print in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Next week, you have the Cape Cod Commission, so I thought under this correspondence, a quick motion as printed for both those items.
So
Unless the board anticipates making changes to those elements.
No, not at this time.
Which I don't think you are.
So I move that the planning board recommends to the warrant Articles 9 and 10 as printed.
I'll second.
Comments left to right? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay.
I'll work on an explanation. Typically, I do the explanations.
Yeah, thank you for trying to dump it on me, Brian.
Well, Pat, it doesn't hurt to try.
Just in case you want to have some input.
I'll pass it by, I'll write it up, I'll pass it by. Actually, Corey will write it up. Thank you.
Move for adjourn.
Wait a second,
No.
I'm just reading one more correspondence. There's one more article of correspondence, and it is just from Kimberly Balin, the chairman of the Zoning Board of Appeals, and it's just a modification to Megantic Crossing, and she's just recommending it.
Just
I
a-
believe it's an explanation from the Board of
Selectmen.
to the Board of Appeals, indicating their vote, the LIP vote that you took you recommended to the Board of Selectmen that this LIP project change.
And they
are now
voted
learning-
unanimously.
And now they are learning the Board of Appeals that, based on your recommendation, they vote to change the LIP application.
Can I ask a question about that project? Since we did the design review of it, during that design review, there was 3 different building designs. Now that's involved to where they're using one design?
Yeah, actually, you looked at it in terms of the LIP application.
Okay.
The ultimate decision on the design review goes to the Board of Appeals as part of the comp.
Okay, thank you.
So that's the only other thing in correspondence, and I believe that's the end of our agenda, except for, actually, future agenda items. Any,
None for me.
well, yes, Paul?
I think that we should have a report on the committee assignments. There's a lot
Okay.
going on, particularly with CPC
Yes, there is.
And also the subcommittee.
subcommittee.
Right, subcommittee, okay.
Okay.
And
I think.
There is.
Committee reports.
I probably will have some interesting things to say about changes in the solar business that I'm learning, so that's something I could bring in the near future. It doesn't have to be the next time, but in the future, it doesn't have to be the next one.
Should it be a future agenda item, a discussion about the coastal resigns here, or is that something you do in committee report?
That's committee report. We just had the one meeting,
Right,
and it'll be a month before the next one.
okay, so there won't be any action as far as recommending anything to selectmen at this time?
No,
Okay.
not this time, but
Oh, there's a letter signed by Jim and by the Conservation Commission chairman that went to the Board of Selectmen in regards
Yeah.
the vulnerability assessment.
true, but we voted that.
We've already voted that, that's already happened.
Yes.
Has that been sent?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
We've already done that.
Excuse me.
Yes, last.
Oh, that was right.
We took care of that, all right.
So there's nothing else because we haven't met subsequently.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, before we adjourn, since this is Mr. Brown's last appearance on the planning board for now, I would like to commend his fine service.
Well, this is not on the agenda, no, I'm sorry.
Okay, I take that back, strike that.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
And,
Will he play the ukulele?
that's right. I apologize for not, actually, I won't apologize, but my following of the planning board, all of you, is special because Doug was on,
Thanks, appreciate that, Mark.
so.
It's been a fun time with all of you, I've enjoyed it.
And I can tell you this, every time I look at a subdivision and I see if it's in a sensitive area, I'm going to hear Doug's comments whether he's at the table or not. Because from his point of view on protecting our coastal ponds, he has been there at every turn.
I'll be watching you.
Yes, Paul?
I don't think we're losing a member of the planning board. I think we're gaining an ally on the Board of Selectmen.
You're here.
Yeah, thank you.
More foresight's always better.
Yep.
Can I mention one other thing?
Yes, you may.
Information purposes, the Wastewater Management Commission is considering the bylaw that we propose, the,
Accessory,
what are we calling it?
accessory
The
apartment.
accessory bylaw. At their meeting next Thursday, they're going to discuss that as a committee. So
Not this Thursday, next
It's this
Thursday?
No, this Thursday,
Thursday
it's
at
early,
9:30.
9:30.
9:30 in the morning here. They have a
It's
meeting.
not on our agenda.
And on their agenda is the accessory bylaw.
Okay, thank you.
Information purposes.
Have we received any input?
That's
from
not
them?
on our agenda, we heard it, I want to stick to
Okay.
not bringing things up, but
All right.
that was interesting no matter what.
Yeah.
The next meeting is October 11th.
That's the commission will be in to see you regards Davis Straits. So if you have that in their scope of work, and I believe you have their update reports, and we had a vision meeting back in March, so they're going to come in and give you about an hour's worth of presentation.
Are the selectmen going to be there for that too, or is it just us?
I don't think so.
I don't know, they're not, it's a planning board meeting.
Planning board meeting.
I think we made, as a stakeholder, I think you were going to give a call to the chairman,
Okay,
just so that knows.
so if they want to come, they can.
Absolutely.
But everyone has a busy agenda.
But it's your meeting, it's not a joint meeting.
Unless there's an appointment to be made. Maybe early for that?
A little early.
I think Doug should make the motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Doug.
Thanks, Doug.